John Stettin, and thank you for tuning in to another Past the Wire video. Glad you all are joining us for this one. I think it's a subject that most of us will find very interesting and worth talking about. A couple of months ago, I mentioned that I would either be doing an article or a video on beating the syndicates at their own game. I'm talking about these computer programs and bettors that are cannibalizing some of the pools and knocking down some of the prices and making it more difficult, or at least contributing to make it more difficult than ever to stay ahead of and beat this very tough game that we all love to play. So we're going to talk about that today. I'm going to let you know how I go about battling and beating these syndicates at their own game, which is not really their own game; it's our game too. But you know they're relatively new, and we'll talk about it, explore it, and again I'll share my insight and my ways of dealing with them and beating them and staying ahead of them. Before we get to that. I'd just like to say that, you know, these videos, we bring them to you with the help of our sponsors, and I'd like to give them some shout outs and thank them. Thank you to TVG for, you know, helping us with this and, you know, sponsoring this video and joining us in some, you know, work with our website. We appreciate it, and we're really happy to be working with them. And, you know, visit tvg.com. If you have an account, great. If you don't, check them out. They offer just about whatever you could imagine as far as wagering on the Sport of Kings goes. Special shout out to Formulator, who we've been with for a long time. My opinion, best past performances in the game. Nothing like it. I don't leave home without it, especially if I'm going to the races or playing the races. You know, some of the features that I love are being able to enter my own trip notes. You who follow me already know that I am big into trip notes, observing races, watching races, and you know, one of the most important parts of my handicapping game is that. So Formulator allows me to enter my own trip notes in there, save them, have them available when I'm reviewing the PPs in the future. Tremendous edge for me. A lot of things they let you do with the fractional splits and, you know, customize everything in a format that you're used to seeing it and you like. Big fan of Formulator, love them. I suggest if you don't use it, you at least, you know, take a look at it. And any questions about it, just give me a shout, and I could, you know, probably help you out. Last but certainly not least, for this video. Special shout out to the people with Conquest Fahrenheit and Rockingham Ranch. Conquest Fahrenheit, fast horse, stakes placed horse, son of Scat Daddy, standing in California at Belena Vista Farm for a stud fee of only $3,000. Absolutely worth taking a shot with a stallion like that. You know, anybody could go to a lot of these, you know, popular stallions and pay 50, 100, 150,000. You know, to breed a mare, and you got just as good shot sometimes with a horse like Conquest Fahrenheit, especially first year out there, second year out there before that stud fee climbs if they get some runners. So that's something that I think, you know, if you're looking for a good stallion and want to take a shot and want to get, you know, in on that California bred program and all the money that comes attached to it, Conquest Fahrenheit is a viable option at a very reasonable stud fee. With that, let's get into these syndicates, and hope everybody enjoys us being back here in our, you know, war room, studio, office, all rolled up in one. We're going to be doing a lot more videos this year, and if you don't already subscribe to our YouTube channel, I would appreciate if you would. Gino Piccola is doing some videos. I'll be doing a bunch of videos. We'll have some other guests doing videos, and we'll be covering a lot of different subjects, a lot of different reporting, handicapping angles, and you know, opinions, and all different kinds of stuff related to the Sport of Kings that we all love. Okay, that said, let's move into these syndicates, and really, I think the first thing we should do is clarify and understand who they are, what they do, and how they do it, because there's a lot of misconceptions out there about that. Okay, there's maybe Um, I would guess maybe 10 of these betting syndicates that are uh, in the game today. Maybe a couple less, maybe a couple more, but that's really close to the number. They bet a lot of money and they get nice rewards from the ADWs or racetracks that they're betting with. Probably bigger rewards than most of us are getting. Now, that said, me personally, I'm not a big rebate player, and it's only because I'm an old school kind of guy. I've been playing the game a long time, and my way of playing the game is to beat the game. If I can't beat the game and stay ahead year after year, um, I got to find something else to do. So, that's why I play the game. Now, granted, at this point, I don't play it as aggressively as I did 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago for a number of reasons. My situation's changed, the game has changed, things change. And it's a lot tougher today than it's ever been for many reasons. More sharks in the water, more drug use on the legal and illegal side, lower denomination betting like 50 cents and 10 cents. And, all of that hurts a player like me in the long run. But that said, I don't play for rebates. If you do play for rebates, though, and I'm not telling anybody that they shouldn't or to leave money on the table, it's just, what you do and what you like. If you are interested in the highest rebates possible, give me a call, give me a shout out, and I might be able to steer you into the right direction and help you with that and get you some larger rebates than you are probably getting where you're playing. But that aside, that's not why we're here today. We're here today to talk about these syndicates and to beat them however you play. But understand they're playing with the advantage of those big rebates. And that's really only an advantage to them personally. Should you care about it? No, I don't. To each their own. They're going to get it. The racetracks are giving it to them and the ADWs are giving it to them because they're pumping a lot of money into the pools, a lot more than you and I. And with that come those rebates. So they are using that rebate to drive their P&L more on the black side when it comes to horse racing because that factors into their profits. But they are, for the most part, beating the game and coming out ahead because of the wages that they make and the type of wages that they make and how they make them. So let's continue understanding exactly what it is that they do and how they do it, and clarify misconceptions you may have, or at least confirm what you may already know. I don't know, who knows what. I did have misconceptions about what they do and how they do it, but I have researched it, got into it a little bit, and found out about as much as I can without actually being one of them, which is probably something that I will never be. Sport of Kings runs on Duncan. Okay, now what they're doing is they are using models, okay, computer models that they pay good money to have built that analyze the raw data from the past performances. And they do this in sports. I mean, in football, if you're a football follower, when they use their models in football, they analyze everything, who's playing in what kind of cleats, and I mean everything you could possibly imagine. And they do the same thing with horses. Okay, so what they do is basically they have a computer model that handicaps a race. Okay, and figures out in their model's opinion, and according to their model. So obviously, the better model you have, and they're constantly tweaking them, the better results and higher percentages you're going to have. But what the models do is they analyze a race and they assign probability to each horse of winning. This horse has a such and such probability, this horse has such and such probability, and they assign what they think are reasonable odds for those horses. Okay? Now, once they do that, okay, they have software, okay, that enables them to make large bets, multiple large bets, very late, and very very close to the post time. So they can, with a minute to post, bet a lot more money, or even 30 seconds to post, to bet a lot more money on a lot of different combinations and a lot of different horses than, say, you or I would be able to do on our phone or on our computer, or at a window through an ADW or a racetrack. They can really get after it. So they have an edge there if you're betting that kind of money all over the place. Most of us are not doing that, and you don't have to do that to beat them. So that's another thing that I said you don't really need to worry about. So don't worry about the rebates. Put that out of your mind. Don't worry about their ability to bet all these combinations at the bell, because if you're right, it's not going to affect you anyway. It may affect your price a little bit, but it's not going to affect you. But we'll get around all of that. So now, this is what they're doing and what they're able to do, and what they look for in those models and in that probability assessment of each horse's chance to win, and in the odds they think are fair for those horses. They look for horses that are longer odds or overlays to the probability that their model assigns them of a chance to win the race. Now, it's a very simple thing to follow. If I'm saying it in a complicated way, I apologize. I'm trying to break it down to make it where, all of us can understand it. So if I'm not doing well, I apologize, but I'm trying. So basically, this looking at the race, assigning probability to who they think is going to win, assigning odds that they think those horses correspond to that probability assessment. And then they're looking for horses that, according to the way the betting is actually going late in this in the time to the race, that are higher than those assessed odds, okay, or anticipated or projected odds, whatever you want to say. Now, they see a horse that they think is a 4, 5, 6 to 1 chance of winning, and he's 8, 9, 10 to 1. They're going to bet that horse. And what's going to happen? A lot of money is going to come in on that horse late. A lot of times that money gets calculated and factored in after the gate gets sprung. They're off and running. The horse went into the gate at 9 to 1. You bet him at 9 to 1, thinking you're going to get 9 to 1. And bang, he's 5 to 1, 9 to 2, or something like that. And we've seen horses at 5 to 1 go down to 3 or 2 to 1, or 9 to 2 go down to 7 to 2, or 2 to 1. We saw it in the stake race with the Jason Service horse last year. I think it was Firenze Fire that really took a slice. That day, it wasn't the Syndicates. It was one very large bet. I happen to know that. So anybody that thought it was the Syndicates, it was not that particular day. They might have been, down a little bit, but that was a large bet made by one player, and I know where they made the bet, and I know of what I speak. Anyway, that aside, that's what you see happen, and a lot of times we get frustrated when we see these horses go down. Okay, let's take a step back. When you're betting a horse that's 8 to 1, okay, or 5 to 1, that is supposed to be 3 to 1 or 5 to 2 or 2 to 1, and you're like, wow, this is a gift. Gifts come at Christmas time. Every day is not Christmas time. So there's a good chance when you do that, and you should be ready for it, the odds are going to go down after the post, especially with these syndicates and these betting operations in the game. Okay, they're going to spot that the same way you do. Okay, and they're going to go after those horses. So the odds are going to go down. Now, they all have different models, okay, but they're all looking to do the same thing, okay? Make no mistake about it. So if we know that, what do we know? We know that when there are these blatant overlays or these gifts at 5 to 2 that should be 8 to 5, and we bet them that way, even if they're going in the gate, okay, there's a good chance when they come out of the gate and that money comes in, they're going to go down. So we have to digest that and know that. So when you bet these horses, know that, hey, if the odds stay the way they are, and every now and then you'll get a horse that clicks up, but most of the time they're going to click down, And most of the time, there's a reason for it, and we should expect it. And as frustrating as it is, and as difficult as it is to swallow, remember, our game is a little bit of a dinosaur. Okay, we don't embrace things like real-time technology, and you're lucky if you get 3 high-definition channels on the satellite watching the races. So all of that said, we are not real time with our odds and our money. So, you know, we're gonna have that problem. We're gonna have to deal with it. You could throw the white flag up and walk away, or you could play in the environment that you have to play. And unfortunately, that's how it is right now. So we've got to deal with that fluctuation in prices. Now, this is primarily what these guys and these groups are doing. Okay, they are hitting those horses hard. They're hitting those win pools hard when they see these overlays. Okay, and a lot of times, based on the mathematical probabilities, they are able to bet more than one horse because of the odds and make money if either of those 2 or 3 horses they go after win. So they may not make as much, but remember, they've got a little bit of an edge there. They can bet 2 or 3 horses that each one of them will give them, they bet different amounts, and the computer, their models tell them that. Their software tells them, bet, X on this one, Y on this one, Z on this one, and if any one of those 3 win, you're going to win. They'll win less, obviously, than if they just bet one of those horses, but they've got that edge because they got that rebate coming in, okay? And they got a bigger rebate than you and I coming in. So what does that mean? That means that they've got a little bit of an offset to that, additional money that they're investing that you or I may not have. Okay. So that being said, that's what they're primarily doing. Okay. Depending on the software and the programs that they're using, they're also able to do that in the exactables. Okay. Now, years ago, when they used to not have simulcasting at all the racetracks, they different monitors, okay? And before that, you pretty much had to go to the racetrack to make a bet. There was OTB, off-track betting in New York, but this was before UBet, the first really ADW that ever came out, where you can bet online from home over the computer. But this is when you really, primarily had to go to the racetrack to make a bet, and you pretty much had to bet at that track. Okay, there were no TVs showing the other races all over the country, and if you went to Aqueduct in the winter, you were betting Aqueduct at the winter because that's what was available. Same thing at Belmont and Saratoga; it didn't matter, or wherever you were in the country. You were focused on your circuit because you really had no choice. When the game was that way, they had TV monitors throughout the track. Okay, and they all didn't show the same thing with the win odds. They had monitors that used to show the probables, and they would show the exactas, 1 with all the horses second, 2 with all the horses second, and it would continually rotate 1, 2, 3, 4 with all the horses second. And under any one of those TVs on any given day, you would find 2 or 3 guys, okay, which meant there were maybe 30 in the racetrack, 40, 50 in the racetrack. You would find them, and they would be standing under those TVs with a pad and paper, and they'd be writing 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the exacted pairs. Boom. Next horse came up, they would write them all down. Next horse came up, they would write them all down. And when it got very close to post time, they would look at the win odds, they would circle a couple of the numbers, and they would go after numbers that were big overlays. They would go after, hey, this horse is 2-1, and this horse is 4-1, but the exacta is coming back, whatever. A higher number than those 2 horses should be coming back in their opinion or in their assessment of what it should pay. They would go after those exactas. The other thing that they would do is they would watch numbers where, let's say an exacta opened up 100, next flash 98, next flash 92, next flash 80, next flash 76. And that exacta that opened 100 wound up at post time paying $46 after the race was official, comes back $41. They used to go after that because they figured that was the, quote, smart money. And a lot of times they were right. Back then, there were a lot of sheep players, but much less than today. But, I was one of them, and we used to pound those exactas. I mean, back then, not the ones that took the money. We were the ones that made them take the money. They were following guys like me and guys like other guys I used to know. Back then, if I would bet a race, sometimes I'd bet a $1,000 exacta 5-9. That's it. No 9-5, no 5 anything else. 5-9, boom, 1,000. And you used to have to bet it, in 250 increments. $250 exacta 5-9 4 times. Boom, $1,000. There's your bet. Enough people on the grounds do that. Those numbers get hit. They go down, and that's who those people were following. So they were following, in essence, people that were doing their homework and handicapping, and they were taking a shortcut to get there by not doing the work, but being able to follow the money. Much more difficult to do that today because you don't have those probable payoffs flashing every flash like they do now. Now you've got different racetracks and different feeds all over the place, and when they put the feeds up with the exactas, they're up for a second. You really can't chart the way these so-called quote charters used to do way back then. But these computer programs and these models can do that. Okay, because if you ever go into your ADW and you want to see the probables, you can. Okay, and if these guys wanted to do that still today, that's how they can do it. Depending on which ADW you use, I don't know how quick it's going to update. It used to update pretty quickly back there. Every flash, every time that horse came around, the one horse came around, and then the one horse came around again after the whole field went through, the numbers would change. And there wasn't a lot of time. So depending on how quick your ADW updates that will depend on how accurate the probable payoffs are that you're looking at. But these models and this software allows them to do that and also find numbers that are steadily going down and also find numbers that are high in relation to the win odds. So those are also things that they go after. So anytime, okay, you're going after these kind of bets, okay, these kind of win bets and these kind of exacta bets, okay, know that you are going after them in their backyard, in their ballpark where they have an edge. Why? Because they have a computer model, okay, that's going to analyze everything a lot faster than you can. Today, when I was at the first EquestriCon, not last year, the year before, I was on one of the panels, and a conversation came up that addressed how long it takes people to handicap a card. And I was amazed. It takes me 4 or 5 hours to handicap a card, sometimes more. I could do one card, maybe 2 cards for a day, okay? You got people doing 4 or 5 cards. These people that play in the tournaments do a bunch of cards. They can't be spending as much time as I am on a card, okay? So if you're doing a race card or a race in 5 or 10 minutes, you are going to think that you are going to put yourself up against a computer that can analyze every possible pace scenario, likelihood of winning, everything in a couple of seconds, and you're going to compete with them in 10, 15 minutes, half hour. I can't compete with them in 4 or 5 hours, and I've been doing this since I could walk practically. So they are going to have an edge. And where their edge increases, and this is the key, we're going to lead into how we're going to beat them. But this is the key, where their edge is amplified, okay, and I mean really amplified, are in the claiming races and the big field races and the races where the majority of the horses have multiple starts, okay, a lot of starts. That gives them an edge. Why? Because there's a lot of information for them to evaluate and a lot more things for you not to have the time to evaluate. So, bing, that's where they have an edge, and those are the races where they do their biggest hits, make their biggest moves, make their biggest scores. Make no mistake about it. And if you compete with them there, you're playing in their ballpark. I say, let's get them to play in our ballpark. This is our game, not theirs. They just came around. They're Johnny come lately. We've been doing this our whole lives. They're not going to beat us at our own game in our own home field. Not happening. So what do we do to combat this? First step is recognize what they're doing and how they're doing it. We talked about that. Now, okay, where do we get the edge? Okay, here's where we get the edge. We get the edge in certain wagers that they're not really going after. Why are they not going after them? because they do not get to project the odds in these kind of wagers. Okay, um, pick fours, pick fives, pick threes. Okay, they can't see what the odds are of the horses in the next leg. Okay, so they can't know where their value that they're going after is going to be. Okay, they could see the doubles and have an idea about the next leg, but they can't see 3 and 4 and 5 and even 6 for a pick six legs in advance. So they don't know if they're betting a horse that's an underlay, which is something they just don't do. They avoid that because in the long run, you bet enough underlays, you're going to get drowned out. I don't care what kind of rebate you're getting. So they know this. Okay, these people are more mathematician, okay, more scientists than they are handicappers. So they know these kind of statistical facts, okay, mathematical facts. They're not going after underlays. They're not going after short price horses. They're not going after, horses that are not going to give them a big enough return, even with their rebates, to be profitable. They're in this to make money, make no mistake about it. Business 100%. They're not playing for the fun of it and with the attitude, oh, everybody loses at the races. Not why they're investing the kind of money that they do in the models, in the software, and in the actual wagering. Believe me, they're in there to win, and they're winning. So they can't have an edge on you in a pick four or a pick five or a pick six, but for the first or second race. Okay? So knowing that, knowing how you're going to structure your ticket, you can give yourself an edge. Okay? Where you can really give yourself an edge, and this is even in the win pool or any other pool that you like, and I love exactas, so this to me is huge, is in certain types of races, okay? Maiden races, okay? We have a tremendous advantage in maiden races as handicappers. Why do we get the advantage there? Because all they could see is the raw data, okay? They could see the sire stats, but, sire stats and trainer stats and that stuff tells us Bill Mott hardly wins with first time starters. Well, tell that to everybody who bet Hidden Scroll the other day on Pegasus card, who won off the screen at 8-1. Bill Mott's been winning with first time starters as long as I've been playing the game. You just got to be savvy enough to recognize the ones that are live from the ones that are developing and needing a race. And I've been fortunate in doing that for years with Bill Mott. Big scores in Saratoga, big scores. Okay, Bill Mott wins with first time starters. Okay, Bill Mott wins with anything. Nobody that can train the way he can't win with any kind of horse. So, you'll see these stack guys. Oh, you could have Bill Mott with a first time starter. Thank you. I'll take him when the time is right. I'll take him. And this is where you get an edge on these computer models. Okay, they have no outside the box thinking. Okay, they're going by raw analytical data. Now, if you're a long time player like myself, okay, there are certain things that come with experience in your mind that you just remember. In this game, history repeats. Okay, certain mares produce grass winners, certain sires produce grass winners. So being a maiden special weight or even a maiden claimer, on the turf where you got a lot of horses going first time on the turf, you can catch an exacta or a win horse that these guys will have no clue based on something you remember or something that okay? They can't do this, okay? And you could literally cut their throats and beat them in these kind of races. And those, we got to adapt. I always talk about adapting in this game. We adapt to those things, and this is where we get those edges, okay? Knowing what to go after and what they are and they are not going after. Now, you're not going to revolve your game around these people, and I'm not suggesting that at all. But if you're going to swim in the deep end of the pool, you need to know what sharks are in there with you, and you need to know, how to handle them. So these are the kind of races that, you can level the playing field, and better than leveling the playing field, you can switch the advantage to your side of the table, which is something that you want to do. So, you look at things like, dirt to turf, turf to dirt, first time turf, first time starters. Stanley Huff, great trainer. Recently came out of retirement and is popping with horses all over the place at a big percentage at nice prices. Now, I remember Stanley Huff when he trained for Berkeley Firestone, all kinds of, fast horses. Deadly first time starter trainer, deadly first time with a new horse. And you're getting 7, 8, 9 to 1. Now people will be on him, but this is something that memory and observations will teach you. And this is where you get an edge because they don't go back that far and they don't even know who Stanley Huff is. So they're looking at his stats. This guy hadn't run a horse in years. Don't got to use him. So, or he's low percentage, or however they're interpreting the lack of information on him, where you have in your memory grooves a wealth of information on him. Edge to you. Okay, so this is what you look to do. Another thing, and I touched on this earlier, one of my biggest things in handicapping today, and this is because I evolved with the game, is trip notes. Okay, tracking trips, the trip note service that I have on my website is a lot about that. But trips are key. Okay, why? Because when you watch a race, and horse racing is an art, I've written columns on this, I've spoke about it in videos. If you go to Past the Wire and look up some of my columns on it, you'll get a lot out of it, no matter what level player that you are. But watching races is an art, okay? Absolutely an art. Everybody has a tendency to watch the horse in front or the horse that they bet on. That's great, but I go back, I watch the replay 2, 3 times, watch every horse and make my own notes. Why? Because when you do that, okay, and you're astute at it, you will see better than the spotters and you will see better than the competition, and you will elevate yourself to be one of the smartest and sharpest people in the room. And that gives you an edge when you walk into the racetrack or when you open up your ADW, because nothing in any set of past performances, in anybody's choices, in any speed rating, in any workout report, in anything you're going to look at is as valuable as your own head and your own eyes and what you see and how you interpret it. And there's nothing I bet with more confidence than something that I have seen and observed myself, especially if it's something that other people haven't seen because they're just not watching or doing the homework and watching that replay 3 or 4 times from the pan shot, from the head-on shot, okay? These computer models can't do that. They can only see what's listed in the past performances. So how do we beat them? We go beyond the PPs. We go past the wire. We look at what they're not looking at. We watch those replays. We see things that they didn't see. We highlight them. We make a note of it, and we bet on them. And that's where the edge comes in, and that's how you beat these syndicates at their own game. And you laugh all the way to the bank and let everybody cry and whine about these syndicates and how they ruin anything. They're not going anywhere. The racetracks are taking good care of them. They take care of of those people better than they do the hardcore people that are their bread and butter going every day. We all know about all those issues, and they're not going to change. But you can beat them. You don't have to whine about them. And again, I hope this is helpful. I hope it gives you a little bit of strategy and insight into what they do, how they do it, and how you can negate it. Again, if the rebates are interesting to you, and they should be. Just because I'm not a rebate player doesn't mean it's not good. But if you're interested in higher rebates and how to get them, give me a shout out, email something, reach out to me. I might be able to help you. Maybe not. If I can, great. But I think I can. Hopefully this video will give you a little bit of insight into how to tackle these guys and how to sweep them by the leg and put the advantage in your court instead of theirs. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Thank you, TVG. Love working with you. Love everything that you guys are doing over there. Thank you to Formulator, best PPs out there, bar none. And again, check out Conquest Fahrenheit if you're looking for a stud that can give you a grass runner, a dirt runner, or a speedy horse at a really reasonable price. Appreciate everybody tuning in. We'll be coming back with a lot more videos. Again, please subscribe to the Past the Wire newsletter. It's absolutely free. Get delivered right to your inbox at PassTheWire.com. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel. We really appreciate it. We got a lot of giveaways coming up with some hats, some posters, some other things. So thank you to everybody, and we're going to check out from our War Room studio office all rolled up in one, and get ready for today's racing at Gulfstream and a couple of other tracks. So thank you, everybody, and ciao for now.